Hey guys, just a couple of quick points. I've been reading through your first discussion board posts on My Papa's Waltz and Those Winter Sundays, and in large measure, I think you guys are doing pretty well, but I had a few points, so I'm going to go ahead and just share those quickly so I'm not just typing them over and over again. So, first point, some really pretty stellar posts if you're looking to see where you can improve or what I'm talking about when I say more specificity or whatever. Angela, Ashley, Lakshmi all did a nice job. So you can go and check those out, and kudos to you guys for doing that. Some other things to think about. When you're reading these poems, if you don't exactly understand what something means, look it up. So I'm not saying that you have to go and research every single thing, but if you don't know a word, you should be looking it up. And if you don't know what a waltz is, you should be looking it up, because as Eve discovered when she looked up what a waltz was, it actually really informed her understanding of the entire poem, the structure, possible meaning. So, I want you guys to dig deep at that, which kind of ties into my next point. Poetry is completely intentional. So if you think about a poem, it's got maybe 8 lines, maybe 30 lines, right? You think about a novel, it's got 300 pages, 500 pages. For a poet, in that short, constricted space, every single thing they do is intentional. They don't have room for a clunker. You write a novel, you can get away with a paragraph that just kind of really doesn't do much. Nobody's going to notice that. You go ahead and you write a poem. If you've got a comma that's not working, or a line break that doesn't matter, or you don't pick your dance intentionally and you call it a polka, which is a totally different ballgame, it changes your whole poem. So these poets, when a poet writes a poem, every single thing is an intentional, exact choice. They are precise. Their words are chosen with precision. Their line breaks are put in there with precision. So question yourself on why the line breaks are there. Question yourself on why a specific image. Question yourself on word choice. Question the meter, the beat of the poem. Question the rhyme or lack of rhyme in the poem. Sometimes you might want to look into history a little bit. When was this poem written or published? Who was this poet? For example, I can tell you guys right now that in the time that Rothke wrote My Papa's Waltz, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing to be a little bit drunk, especially if you were a working class dad and it was payday. They didn't have the same compunctions and the same stigmas around alcohol that we have now. So it could have been just that dad had a couple drinks after dinner. I don't know, and you can make your own interpretations, which most of you guys are doing really well. But, sometimes it does help to think about time and to even address, how the poem could mean something different then than it means now. Similarly, if you look at Robert Hayden and you look into his background at all, Robert Hayden grew up very poor, black, in a very poor neighborhood in, don't quiz me on this, I want to say Michigan, but maybe like Chicago. It was either like Detroit or Chicago. Northern and cold, right? There is no cold like cold in a tar paper shack when you're poor and your house is not insulated. And I would say this was the 20s or the 30s, right? I think the 30s, actually. So nobody had any money anyway, but people who definitely didn't have any money were poor, black, blue-collar workers. So this cold is a cold, and the work that his father does is work. And again, you can't assume that he's writing about himself, but you can assume that his life and his experiences would inform what he's writing about, if that makes sense. That's another thing I need you guys to consider. The speaker in the poem is not always necessarily the poet, okay? Poet writes a poem, but a poet can have a character speaking, the speaker, who is not themselves. And often they do, just like novelists write about characters who are not themselves. So although you can often assume a connection, and some poets will say straight out that there is a connection, you can't necessarily equate the speaker of the poem and the poet himself or herself. And one last thing I really wanted to hit on. Don't be afraid in your posts to ask questions. And this was something that Lakshmi did. And I don't know that I really saw any of you others doing that. And she did it about the Rothke poem, which is definitely a poem that you could have a lot of questions about. So it's okay to say, yo, I don't know what's going on here. And it made me feel really unsettled, and I'm not sure why. And to pick apart the pieces that make you feel unsettled, like Lakshmi did, and to ask questions. Did he do this for this reason? And that doesn't mean I want every single one of your response posts here to be like, I don't know what's happening. What do you think is happening? That's not what I mean. But when you're stumped, I think it's okay to say, I'm stumped. This is why I'm stumped. Can somebody save me here? And for the rest of you to jump in and throw somebody a life preserver. Okay, so I think for the most part that's it. Oh, yes, quoting and citing poems. There's a specific way to quote and cite poems in MLA style. I posted a quick, pretty self-explanatory link about that on the announcements and also in this week's assignments folder, the one with Shakespeare and Malay and Szymborska. So please look at that and please adhere to it. After this week, if you're not following MLA style, even in your posts, I'm gonna have to take some points off your posts, because part of what you really need to be learning to do here is always cite, quote appropriately, and cite appropriately. It's just good form. It avoids plagiarism. It's academically honest. And it will inform and help you in your classes going forward. Whether you're an English major or anything else, you're going to be citing. So you need to know this stuff. Okay, I think that's it. Sorry the video is a little bit dark, but I hope you guys can see me. Oh, hey, it's light again. I guess I should have blocked the window off a while ago. And I can't wait to read your post from this week. Don't be scared of Shakespeare. I noticed so far nobody's commenting on Shakespeare. Shakespeare is not as hard as we all like to think he is. All right, that's all. Thank you.